Yeah, Mike and I talked, and then we were going to send it over to the agent. The agents told us to stick it up our ass. We've had a very, very strong negotiation. Frankly, it wouldn't have made any difference what the negotiation was.
Micah Parsons' trade saga with the Dallas Cowboys has just reached a brand new level. It has gotten so bad that I honestly don't know which side I should believe anymore, and it's honestly something we're going to dive into in this particular video. Could we potentially see Micah Parsons get traded? Well, Adam Schefter thinks that this is it.
Both sides seem to be angry. Now, have other people put those feelings aside and figured out a way to work out a deal? Yeah, I don't see that happening here. I see these two sides headed towards a divorce in time.
Schefter says that he believes that both the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons are headed towards a divorce, and I've never seen a scenario like this before. NFL season's around the corner, and Dak Prescott just needs one passing yard in order for his square to hit. Guys, you can sign up with my promo code Microphone to get a free $50 in lineups when you play $5 or more on Prize Picks. Once you get that, use $25 on this lineup here to make $131. I've already been making picks so I can snipe the best lines early on, and in this case I'm pairing Dak Prescott to get one passing yard, which is a free square, with Kyren Williams getting a touchdown at any point and Justin Jefferson scoring a touchdown versus the Chicago Bears. On top of that, if you want more plays, I've created an incredible Discord community of experts in the WAP linked in the description down below, and thank you Prize Picks for today's sponsor. In our previous video, we literally had Jerry Jones admitting that the main reason why he decides to take so long with these contract negotiations is because he doesn't mind resetting the market at a position so long as it has the media talking about his team a little bit more.
If we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at.
At the same time, Jerry Jones has stated his reason as to why a contract hasn't been signed yet.
Nothing.
So why don't you talk?
Again, we might or might not talk.
And some fans are speculating that the main reason why Micah Parsons hasn't been extended was because of this video that has recently gone viral of him dancing when he was at Penn State. And honestly, if it doesn't work out for Micah Parsons as a member of the Dallas Cowboys, then he certainly could have a job as a Minnesota Vikings cheerleader. And fans are wondering what on earth went wrong, because the Jones family recently dropped a Netflix documentary, and it's a Netflix documentary that I originally thought would just be a huge puff piece for the Dallas Cowboys, but honestly, I think it's one of the most well-made documentaries that the Jones family has ever dropped for the Dallas Cowboys. Personally, as an individual that was born in the 90s, I never really got to appreciate when the Jones family was actually competent in roster construction. So watching how the triplets were formed, the risk that Jerry Jones took by firing Tom Landry, and just their rise and fall was just so fascinating for me to see as a Dallas Cowboy fan. And it's one of my favorite documentaries that I've seen in quite some time because, well, you don't really see the Jones family make competent decisions ever since then, at least when it comes to trading for players or extending players, although I have been on record saying multiple times that they've done a phenomenal job drafting players. But in this documentary, we also got an idea of a way that Micah Parsons could potentially force himself out of Dallas.
In '92, I heard that Charles walked up into the general manager's office. He pulled out his dick, pissed on his desk, and said, "This is how bad I want out of here."
So this is the main reason I wanted to make this video, because following the release of this documentary, Jerry Jones appeared in a podcast with Michael Irvin and explained why Micah Parsons hasn't been signed to an extension yet.
I have agreed to give more money than anyone ever has as far as a defensive player. Yeah, Mike and I talked, and then we were going to send it over to the agent. The agents told us to stick it up our ass.
So you mean to tell me that Jerry Jones went to Micah Parsons and his agent and said, "Hey, we're going to give you the most money that a defensive player has ever received in NFL history. We are resetting the market once again. You're going to get paid more than Myles Garrett, more than TJ Watt." And Micah Parsons' agent, David Mulligetta, told Jerry Jones to shove it, even though this is exactly what they want. I mean, Parsons has been on record multiple times saying that he just wants an extension done so he could focus on football. He doesn't even need to reset the market. Parsons even said in his trade demand that he wanted an extension, even if it meant that he was going to get paid significantly less. less the moment he got it. So all of a sudden, you're telling us that the moment that Jerry Jones agreed to reset the market and pay Micah Parsons what he is worth, his agent told him to shove it? Well, according to Good Morning Football, Micah Parsons' camp said that's not what's happening.
Micah Parsons' camp is adamant that those words were never uttered toward Jerry Jones. So I guess we can call it paraphrasing, because maybe they said, don't bother to send any numbers that you gave Micah because we need to negotiate all that stuff.
Now, here's the thing. Typically, I would say that I don't trust Jerry Jones here. But the thing is, Micah Parsons' agent has his own history, and we got to be unbiased here. Parsons' agent, David Mulugheta, has dragged out negotiations before and has used the media in order to get what he wants out of teams. For example, Jalen Ramsey demanded a trade when he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He got dealt to the Los Angeles Rams, and then he signed a record cornerback contract. Jesse Bates had a stalemate with the Cincinnati Bengals for 2 years, got franchise tagged, and then he left in free agency. Michael Thomas had a training camp holdout, then he reset the market at wide receiver. Budda Baker demanded a trade, and there was significant drama during training camp with the Arizona Cardinals before he got guarantees on his contract. Then there's Deshaun Watson, who refused to play for the Houston Texans, demanded a trade from the Houston Texans, got traded to the Cleveland Browns, and then got the most absurd and probably the worst contract in NFL history. Probably the only failure that David Mulugheta ever had was T. Higgins. T. Higgins was franchise tagged, he requested a trade, and then he left David Mulugheta for Jamar Chase's agent, who pretty much went to the Bengals and said Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are a package deal. So now Micah Parsons is essentially doing the same thing here. He's requesting a trade and trying to apply public pressure to get what he wants from the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm not saying I'm team Jerry Jones, I'm just saying that David Mulugheta has his own history as well. So now we've reached one of my favorite tactics that we see each and every time a player wants to get a contract extension. But I think this was done in a much more unique way. Parsons dropped this video onto his TikTok page saying, "I'm a win wherever I go." Following this, Micah Parsons decided to scrub his entire social media of anything that has to do with the Dallas Cowboys. And this was sent in one of my group chats with a bunch of my friends talking trash to me because, well, unfortunately, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan and they all wanted to know what my opinion on the situation was, and my opinion here was very, very simple. We've seen instances in the past where players will go out and scrub their social media pages of everything to do with that team, and the result is almost always the same. Whether it was Kyler Murray a few years ago or Deebo Samuel in that same exact offseason, each and every time this ends with a contract extension. But I don't think it's ever been this ugly before, and I don't see the Jones family moving on from Micah Parsons, even though if you just look at this from a football perspective, it would make sense. It's very clear that the Jones family doesn't care about football first. And the reason I'm saying that from a football perspective this would make sense is I don't think the Cowboys are competitive with Micah Parsons in their division or without Micah Parsons in their division. I think at this point you might as well just tank. You're not competing with the Philadelphia Eagles. You're not going to compete with the Washington Commanders. I mean, maybe if some games go your way and Matt Eberflus is a remarkable defensive coordinator, maybe, just maybe, you could sneak into the wild card. But even then, even in years where the Dallas Cowboys were very competitive, like in 2023, every time they make it into the playoffs, I just have no faith in them going any further than their original playoff game. The last time they've achieved any type of playoff success was in 2022 when Dak Prescott beat Tom Brady in Tom Brady's final game of his career. So with that being said, what are the most realistic destinations for Micah Parsons? Well, the first one is the Green Bay Packers, and I think this would be a great fit for Micah. Green Bay views itself as a Super Bowl contender. You would have Micah Parsons right next to Rashawn Gary. The Packers have enough cap space to have Micah Parsons on his current deal before extending him and resetting the market. But if that team doesn't work, another team that could without a doubt pay Micah what he's worth is the New England Patriots. The Patriots were the second to worst team in the NFL in terms of edge rushing last year. They tried to fix that by signing Kalavion Kason and Harold Landry in the offseason, but honestly, that isn't going to move the needle very much. They've solved a lot of their problems on offense. They clearly have their quarterback of the future in Drake May. They brought in Stephon Diggs, who is hopefully going to be their wide receiver one. And since Drake May is on a rookie scale contract, they have enough cap space to sign Micah Parsons to that record-setting deal that he wants and still support him even further than that. They have about $60 million in cap space, and they desperately need edge rushing help in order to get after Josh Allen in their division. But if that doesn't happen, then you could look at the Detroit Lions potentially making a trade for Parsons. They already have Aiden Hutchinson on their roster, so could you imagine a defensive line that has both Aiden Hutchinson and Micah Parsons? This is a team that should have made it to the Super Bowl last year before getting upset by the Washington Commanders. And if the Detroit Lions are able to trade for Micah Parsons and are willing to part with the assets to get him, there's no question in my mind that this is a team that is practically a super team at this point. The two teams that are obviously never going to happen, even though Parsons has connections to both of them, are the Philadelphia Eagles, which is Micah Parsons' hometown. He went to Penn State. They already are a super team. They really don't need any more help. And I hate to admit this as a Cowboy fan, but the Eagles have made so many intelligent roster decisions that whether they have Parsons or not, they are going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. And then the other dominant team in their division, the Washington Commanders. Parsons has a history with Dan Quinn. He absolutely loves Dan Quinn because the way Quinn used Parsons is the reason why he is the player he is today. He is the most versatile defensive player in all of football. But Jerry Jones would never trade Micah Parsons to a division rival. At the end of the day, I think this is going to end with a contract extension for Parsons. I'm going to be really happy when it gets done, but once again, even if it does get done, I don't really have a lot of faith in the Dallas Cowboys making a run to the Super Bowl. The only way that they would is if Brian Schottenheimer happens to be the next coming of Sean McVay, and I'm not really holding my breath out for that. So let me know in the comment section down below if you're a Cowboy fan, how do you feel about this? Aside from that, another player whose career might be officially done is Anthony Richardson. We have a completely separate video on that. I'm going to leave it in the end screen. I'm going to meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic. Until our next upload.